Hey guys, welcome to Spark of Fantasy. I'm Hannah, and I'm here to review the best fantasy romance novels out, so you can know exactly what to read next. Let's get started. I am so excited to finally get to talk about Queen Takes Night. When I decided that I was going to start this podcast, YouTube channel, this book was at the top of the list. This series is in my top 5 romance series of all time. Now, before we jump in, listen to me. This book is not for the faint of heart. It is not for everybody. If Fairy Struck is a 3 on the sex scale, this series as a whole is past 10. So if you're not into sex scenes like that, you're not into male on male action, this is not the book for you. Just like all the other episodes, I'm only going to talk about the first book, but this series as a whole is truly worth the read. Also, don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment the next book y'all want me to review. I really appreciate it. Queen Takes Night is an action-packed and sex-filled novel, the first of the series, that follows Shara meeting and falling in love with her harem while she tries to survive monsters, magic, and other queens. Shara quickly goes from beat down to empowered. I rooted for her the entire series. Joely is really masterful in turning Shara into the queen she was always meant to be. This is also one of those novels that really explores the complexities in the relationships between the men. The awesome magic is also a big draw. It's big, deadly, and makes complete sense for Shara's character. You can't help but get sucked in, needing to read more. Just like all the books I review, listen to my episode, go read it, and then come back and see if you feel the same way I do. The cover lets you know that there will be blood. Period. Guys, she doesn't shy away from the blood. If you're squeamish about that kind of thing, this isn't the book for you. So there's a pretty girl on the cover with bloody hands grabbing her. The author was pretty on point with what you're going to get when you read. Overall, I think it's a 4 out of 5 on the cover. I would have loved to see some hint of Shara's magic on the cover too, but still, overall, the cover drew me in. This book opens up letting you know immediately that this is not a game. Our protagonist, Shara, opens up the story informing us that she is extremely afraid of the dark. Both her mother and father were killed by the creatures that hunt her at night. She was 17 when her mom was killed by them. Now at 22, she's been running, scared, and just trying to keep her head above water. These monsters hunt her by her blood. Consequently, they show up like crazy every time she has a cycle. Her next cycle is in a couple of days. So pause. One second. I would be pissed. I'm already cramping and irritated, bloating, want to eat everything in sight. And now I have to run from monsters that will kill me as well? No, I'm done. Count me out. Sorry. And then on top of that, I have to work a job that doesn't take my fear of the dark seriously? No, thank you. The monsters do follow her around all the time, but it seriously ramps up when she's on her period. So she dealing with this every day. I'm not going out there in the dark. Sorry. So once she gets outside, after her boss asks her to go clean up, Shara stops and tries to discern if that trickle of ice down her spine was brought on by her past fears or an immediate one. She had that ping of a warning, but cleans the cabin anyway. Now, I try to listen to whatever it is you want to call it, intuition, the Holy Spirit, instinct. I've noticed when I don't listen, bad things happen. Not checking the other way again when pulling out, even though I already looked. Bam! Crap, car accident. Not putting my phone in a secure place after it looks precarious because I was just going to be a second. Bang! Crack screen. Not speaking up when we get on the expressway in pouring rain. Spin out into the median. thankfully uninjured. But all that happened in college. I listen to that intuition now. So, knowing that, y'all can imagine how upset I was in the first 3 pages of this book. I was shaking my head like, see, I know you're going to make it because you're the protagonist. But what if you weren't? You don't know who you are. You just a side snack about to get eaten. Now you gone. But alas, that is not Shara's fate, being the blessed protagonist and all. Shara has the ability to open her senses and see the things, people, and monsters around her like a thermal radar. She doesn't see any monsters. Instead, she found 2 warm, glowing spots that reached back out to her when she... An hour later, and full darkness has emerged, along with the familiar darkness that killed her mother and that was hunting her now. Obviously. Shara holds her own a bit before she realizes it's a lost cause and they won't take her alive. Before a stranger can take her life, those 2 bright spots arrive, calling her queen and killing all the zombies that were about to maul her. The main necromancer mom, killer, gets away and the 2 take Shadra back to the main hotel. Before they get to the hotel, a few things are revealed. 1. Shadra is intensely attracted to their blood. 2. Her mother's genealogical line is very important. 3. The men's names are Alaric and Dare, and they are here in hopes of becoming a part of her blood. So you can think of them as knights with Shara as their queen. 4. They're super attracted to each other. And 5. Alaric and Dare can move at super vampire speed. So these revelations lead to them all being vampires. Now, they are not called vampires in the novel, and I won't call them that again. Their race of people are called Ima. I really love when authors go above and beyond to create their own creatures and worlds, and Miss Joely does this exceptionally well. She has built an entire society with nuances that are important to the story, but I wanted to lay a foundation out there so you guys have a good picture in your mind going forward. Now is a good time to do some world building. Our protagonist, Shara Isidore, is a descendant of Isis, which is a goddess in their pantheon. Shara is actually the last one, with all the other queens being killed or not producing an heir. Their world is primarily made up of bloods and queens, with the blood being the men and the queens being the strong women of their kind. There are lower women in their society, but Shara is a queen, so we'll focus on that. A queen has a brood of knights or blood who see to her physically, emotionally, and magically. When the queen is ready, she begins to naturally draw the blood to her that are best suited in strengths, needs, and personality. It is normal to have a dozen, and the highest has had more than 100. Now, referring to what was after her, the zombie creatures are called thralls, and their master being a former blood who lost his queen. Only blood can turn into the necromancer-like being. Now, Shara's personal background. Her mother, Selena Isidore, had 10 blood when she took a human lover. The human, not being part of her society, wanted Selena all to himself. Since she loved him most, she dissolved her blood, ran away, lost her magic, and had Shara. No one from their society even knew Shara was born. In their society, girls are rare, especially the magically enhanced ones, and as such are cherished and spoiled. And Rick and Dare are super upset at how she has had to live. After making it to Shara's room and being super hot while she checked it out for danger, Alaric declares the shack of a room unfitting for the Queen of Isidore. I love a doting man. So with Shara being half human, she's got some quirks. One being she doesn't have fangs, making it impossible for her to feed on the gods without help. They quickly help her. She feeds from them both. Dare goes to stand watch since the thrall leader is still out there, and Shara and Rick have sex, and Shara claims her legacy. Shara is transported to a pyramid in the desert and has a conversation with her mom explaining what is going on and why she made the decisions she made. This gives some nice closure to the whole why am I running away and almost dying every 2 weeks thing. They wrap it up, and then Shara meets their goddess Iris, who bestows on Shara all of her gifts. Normally, queens only get a handful. The next morning, at dawn, they hop on their motorcycles and drive to Shara's old home, hoping to find a trail to her consigliaries, who should have been taking care of the estate. So when they arrive, they get in touch with the consigliaries named Gina, a dark-skinned black woman. There are people of all colors throughout Joely's books. Another queen we meet later is Mexican. It's so refreshing that I keep coming back to this series with a new appreciation each time. Gina explains that she has been trying to track Shara down without luck since her mother was killed. Shara trusts her and learns that she is now massively rich and powerful. Gotta love a good inheritance. Remember, Shara was given all of her goddesses' gifts, so that power will attract attention from their ruling body, the triune. There are 3 triunes, each with 3 queens who sit on each one. With the amount of power Shara has, she will definitely be targeted by other queens and drawn into the politics of this world. They decide that Shara will need more blood to stay safe and hold her own against the other queens who may try to absolve her into their power. The next morning, Rick pulls Shara out of her dream where she was calling to a powerful and dark creature. Rick swears it's evil and has never felt anything like it before. Shara doesn't feel the same. To her, he feels sad and lonely. They just agreed that she needs more blood, and calling him was exactly what she thought she was supposed to be doing. The whole day feels edgy. Rick is feeling oddly jealous and antsy. He wants to be all up under her and thinks she smells even more tasty than usual. They end up going out, shopping into a bar, where it becomes dangerously obvious that Shara has come on her period. They quickly get a doctor and Gina to the house to get some tests done. Full-blooded Ima only get their periods very rarely, and sometimes not at all. The fact that Shara has a human cycle is spectacular and pushes Rick emotionally. Everyone's freaking out because there are hundreds of thrall, but only 2 blood. Shara searches for the possible blood from earlier, and he is close. She also finds the main thrall leader, who we've learned is her mother's ex-blood and killer, Grayson, crawling over her mother's grave in pain and anguish. Shara watches his emotions change from anguish to despair to anger to revenge, vowing that if he couldn't have a queen, then no one would. Rick and Dare feel this, change into their rock troll and war cat, the powers they received by being with Shadra, and they vow to rip out his throat when he tries. Dr. Borsch calls with the results of her blood test. Shara is half Ima, but she is definitely not half human. The doctor cannot say more than that due to the magic restricting her. The same muting magic was placed on her mom, which is why Shara knew nothing of her legacy. The doctor also told her that she was not currently pregnant. Shara hangs up when they hear the thrall shaking the iron gate surrounding the house. They go out to kill all the thrall. Rick and Dare kill the ones who climb over the gate when Grayson comes out, and in true bad guy fashion, he tells Shara all the secrets that she wants to know. The woman who raised her is not her mom. Her aunt, Esetta Isidorius, and her dad is called Leviathan, the nameless one. Real epic name, isn't it? He's a great gigantic dragon creature. Grayson tells Shara her parents' names in exchange for a taste of her blood. Shara gives him a taste and then burns him from the inside out, like a boss. Later that night, Shara scans the night in her dream to find their new base. She ends up meeting a raven druid. Shara calls him her blood, and he says he can't since he's already dead. Shara bites him and is so freaked out by having alligator teeth, she wakes up. The book ends with Shara worrying if the new blood will upset Rick being the alpha. She also senses Rick's apprehension about it. They sense another presence making their way towards them, and they say that it will be there before the next day. And therein ends the book. So I'm going to judge my reviews on 4 different areas that I think really determine if I will like a book or not. The categories are the cover, readability, plot, and character development. So I'll average these to give my overall ranking. This book gave me all the things I love. The pace moved incredibly quick. Before you know it, you're at the end downloading the next book. So for readability, I would definitely give this a 5 out of 5. The sex scenes are all great. The relationships Shara forms with Rick and Dear are comforting and solid. My absolute favorite thing, though, is that Shara comes into her power and is immediately ready to fight. I hate heroin to him and haw about having powers and using them. Shara was ready to handle business and did so spectacularly. So the character and plot development are both clear 5s. I rated the cover a 4 out of 5 earlier, so Queen Takes Night will get an overall 4.75 out of 5. Joely Sue also does not shy away from making the characters in her book different skin tones. She describes the goddess as having skin like polished ebony and eyes like crushed diamonds. The very effective and efficient Conciliaris is also a dark-skinned black woman. And also, if the ancestry checks out, then Siren is Egyptian, which is African. She's basically black to me. My imagination, she's whatever color I want her to be. My only complaint is that I want more. The author says she's bringing Shara back after she fills the other triune seats, so I can't wait. I also adore all of the spin-offs, so I'm happy to let her lead this journey. Check out this book, y'all. It is truly amazing. That's it for today. Don't forget to get the book through my link in the description box. Subscribe and like if you enjoyed this content, and let me know in the comments if y'all prefer the nice and slow books like Fairy Struck or want to jump into everything hardcore from the beginning. See y'all next week.